Welcome, everyone, to Voices of NCAJ, the podcast for the North Carolina Advocates for Justice. I am Amber Nimocks, your host and Director of External Affairs for NCAJ. Before we get started, I'd like to thank today's episode sponsor, Advocate Capital. Advocate is passionate about helping plaintiffs' attorneys get better results for clients, mainly through their AdvoTrack case expense funding service. It allows firms to track case expenses and recover borrowing costs, which makes the net cost of borrowing zero on cases they win. You can learn more about that at advocatecapital.com. My guest today is Warren Savage. Warren is Senior Claims Counsel for Lawyers Mutual Liability Insurance. He focuses on litigation, insurance law, appellate advocacy, criminal matters, and professional responsibility. And if you've been lucky enough to attend one of NCAJ's recent Sidebar socials, you know that he gives great advice on professional responsibility, malpractice claims avoidance, navigating conflicts of interest, and lots of other topics that help solo and small firm lawyers stay out of trouble. You'll find Warren and other lawyers' mutual claims counsels at a series of Sidebar socials NCAJ will be hosting around the state this spring and summer. We'll be setting up shop in Durham, Charlotte, Salisbury, Greenville, and Cary, where they will be sharing their wisdom. And if you want to attend any of those Sidebar socials, just go to ncaj.com/events. That's our events calendar where you can sign up, find your date in the town or city near you, and let us know that you're coming. Before joining Lawyers Mutual in 2005, Warren was a partner with the firm Bailey & Dixon. And before becoming a lawyer, Warren spent several years as a high school English teacher and junior varsity basketball coach. He's got a rare gift for laying out the game plan in a way that makes concepts accessible. Warren, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Amber. I find that quite humorous. I appreciate that you raised my former JV basketball coaching ability. I was JV because I could never play basketball very well.
I think it takes a special talent to be any sort of a teacher, and to be a junior varsity basketball coach. There's got to be a special place in heaven for you guys.
No, please. Well, it was fun.
So, how did you go from high school English teacher to senior claims counsel? I guess this wasn't exactly what you always wanted to be when you grew up, or was it?
Well, that's kind of the thing. I didn't know what I wanted to be for a long time. I often tell my children I didn't know what I wanted to be till I was 40 years old and at Lawyers Mutual, and had already been a lawyer for 10 years. So, yeah, when I came out of college, I was an English major, hotly dating my present wife, and
nice,
on the verge of getting married. And so I figured I better be an English teacher. So I did that for a few years. And every time I get frustrated at being a lawyer, I remember how hard it was to be a high school English teacher. And so that, especially in law school, it kind of calmed my nerves. Went through that. I also did a bunch of other stuff through that time. I did, after teaching, I bartended, I waited tables, before and during. And then before and during law school, I did a bunch of stuff. So anyway, roundabout career to find the law. That's for darn sure.
What was your favorite of your many vocational pursuits before the law?
Well, while I liked teaching English, I can't say that was my favorite, because grading papers is kind of like keeping track of your billable time. I hated it.
Yeah.
And it was very difficult. But my favorite was probably bartending. And as a result, that's how I met my wife. And she worked with me. I did not serve her. And then we had just recently, in fact, bought a bar. So I'm back to doing it again. I enjoy it. So,
oh, really? You just bought a bar?
Yeah, we bought our neighborhood little tap room. And
what
2 years
bar
ago,
did you buy?
It's called House Creek Beverage Company. And
Where is
NCAJ
this?
needs to come by for a good social sometime.
Yes, we do. Where is this? Tell me more.
It's over on Lake Boone Trail, about a mile from your office. It's very, very close.
No way. Okay, great. All right. Well, I will organize a field trip for a scouting mission.
That's right.
To
get Josh and
yeah.
Haley and
Absolutely.
Shannon, everybody come on over. That'd be fun.
Okay, all right. I interview a lot of lawyers who came to the law in a fairly circuitous route, and they often tell me that they bring skills and expertise that they learned in their various past lives with them. What is it that you bring with you from your previous incarnations as a teacher or a bartender into your current role?
Kind of an easy question for me, and I like it. Their teaching part of teaching is great. And when I was a high school teacher, I loved that interaction. Like I said, sort of the bureaucracy and the administrative stuff was not so fun. Got me out of the pay, things like that. So, a big part of what I do, and especially a big part of my interaction with NCAJ, is teaching. And
Right.
I started off sort of doing it piecemeal, but now at this point, it's a really big portion of what I do every year for your organization, for defense attorneys, for criminal lawyers, for statewide organizations, all different places. And probably I'm one of those folks who probably does more CLE than teaching than just about anybody in the state. And the bartending side, I will say, I am an extrovert, probably to the extreme. And so that has helped me in my role now in interacting with so many different people with so many different backgrounds and oftentimes even their clients, just trying to help all of them. And I love keeping in touch and getting to know the people that we insure and the people we help. And so that is a big part of the gratifying part of this work.
Right, right. And sometimes you get to have the best of both worlds, especially at the Sidebar socials when we do a little teaching before the happy hour.
That's right.
So that's
I
cool.
had to remind everybody when we were in Asheville, or remind myself when we were in Asheville, because it'd been a while since we'd done those Sidebar socials, to make sure I don't start drinking beer before I start teaching. Otherwise, I might have to leave and take a bathroom break in the middle. So keep that for the end.
So, and I mean, these are really special environments because they give us a chance, they give NCAJ a chance to sort of showcase for our members and for potential members, two of the things that we are best at as an organization, which is bringing our members like really tailored CLE to their needs and also bringing them fellowship and camaraderie with their blinded attorneys. So what is it that you like about doing the Sidebar socials that's different from other environments, maybe?
Number one, it's the NCAJ. I just love the demographic of the attorneys and paralegals that are members of your organization. They are, without fail, come from small firms, pretty much small firms. There's a few larger plaintiffs' attorneys firms, but for the most part, they're all from small to mid-size, small to solo firms. And as a result, that is also coincidentally coincides with the greatest number of insureds we have at Lawyers Mutual. You very much fit into the folks that we're already helping and insuring. And so it gives me an opportunity to not just talk to folks on the phone that I might talk to, but also get out there and see them in person, and not in a crisis situation or in a situation where they're necessarily seeking my professional help, just more getting to know them and getting to know what their practice is like. That is, to me, the best thing. NCAJ I can't tell you how helpful it has been to know how much y'all emphasize CLE and learning and supporting each other. And because, most of your members don't come from large firms that have mentors right down the hall,
Right.
or people they can go to that easily to get advice, professional advice, ethics advice, risk management advice, any type of thing, family advice. I get called about all kinds of stuff, and I'm not kidding. But they got somebody called me about a boyfriend one time and how to deal with a boyfriend. But
Wow.
anyway, so because of that, a lot of our insureds, NCAJ really encourages its members to call us. And, because of that, we get to know your members very, very well. I tell you, it's fantastic.
That's great. That's great because it really is in all the years that I've been working with you guys, and I've read a lot of columns that the claims counsels have written and edited them and listened in on the Sidebar socials, and I know that the most important thing that I've gotten, and in case you didn't think your message was getting through, is like prevention is a pound of cure, right? Ounce of
Right.
prevention, pound of cure. And so what you really want to do, especially like for folks who don't have that infrastructure built in like a big firm does, you want to be able to have a relationship where they can come to you with a question before it becomes a problem, right?
Right. Amen. I mean, and one thing I think y'all are great at is most new lawyers that are coming out of law school that are hanging a shingle, they are going to do some plaintiff's work and they're going to do some criminal defense work and family law. That's just, those are the things they're probably going to pay the bill, and they can
Right.
get those clients right out of the gate oftentimes. But they're also brand new. You don't see brand new insurance defense attorneys hang up their shingle, right? They go to work for a firm where they've got got a lot of mentors typically. And as a result, because y'all do a lot to encourage those folks, we get to talk to them early too, because they also call us.
Right, right. Yeah, so and you in between your JV basketball coaching career and your bartending, you also did manage to practice some law
Yeah.
before you went to Lawyers Mutual. What kind of law did you practice when you were with Bailey and Dixon?
So Amber, it's funny, when I was in law school, Rick Glazier was
Oh yeah,
one of y'all's members. He
sure.
taught pretrial litigation at Campbell Law School. And I thought he was very charismatic, did all kinds of good things. And I remember telling my friends that I was in law school with, if I ever become an insurance defense lawyer, just shoot me because I've lost my soul. So, of course, the first job I got out of law school was as an insurance defense lawyer at a law firm. And that was the only job offer I got out of law school. So, I ended up really, really, really liking it, liking especially the attorneys that I worked with. It was an incredibly supportive firm and an incredibly supportive group of attorneys that are invaluable to me. That experience is invaluable to me in what I do now. If I hadn't had that litigation experience, I don't think I'd be half the claims attorney I am now. I can really relate to things that all attorneys are going through. There are a lot of common things that both plaintiffs' attorneys and defense attorneys have to deal with. And so I've been in those trenches. That was really good what I did. Started off doing car wreck cases, trying 5 or 6 trials a year for the first couple of years. I don't want to exaggerate, maybe, three to 5 in there. And then took on more, some insurance coverage stuff, other types of litigation, commercial litigation, more catastrophic sort of litigation. I started off as the sort of the research hound,
Oh yeah.
memo writing associate on those cases, and then moved up a little, but always was in court during that time. But I will say it was a grind, and I'm not the kind of person that's cut out for the billable hour.
Right.
I had young kids. Our firm was going through a shakeup, and I was like, at some point, about 10 years into it, I was like, I'm gonna call up Lawyers Mutual, somebody I have done some work for, see if they've got a job. And miraculously they did, because we never have jobs. So they did have a job and they hired me. So that was great.
Well, that's great. That's great. Yeah. Well, a lot of our members go through that insurance defense period before they
Right.
see the light and wind up on the other side. So you just,
To that point, it's funny. I'm glad I also came into what I do now and the work I do with NCAJ from an insurance defense background, because I feel like sometimes the plaintiff side and the insurance defense side sort of demonize each other a little. I think the more mature lawyers don't, but sometimes they really do. and I've seen them both in very vulnerable times. We insure most of the insurance defense lawyers in this state too, along with the
Sure.
plaintiffs' lawyers. So as a result, I talk to a lot of folks that are in vulnerable positions, and they're, for the most part, all good people just trying to do their job the best they can for their clients. And I always am trying to be a peacemaker when it comes to folks, plaintiffs' lawyers and defense lawyers who call me up and they're at loggerheads with somebody, and I'm like, let's take a step back and think through this. The guy on the other side, you think he has horns, but I've talked to him, I've known him a long time, and let's sit back and see if there might be some common ground we can find here.
Right, right. Well, it's all about professionalism, right? I mean,
That's
that's
true.
like that's one of the guiding lights that we hope that at NCAJ definitely we're all about the plaintiffs' attorneys, but we are also all about the professionalism too.
Oh,
So
amen. I've talked to many of your members, some of whose best friends are insurance defense lawyers that they tangled with
yeah.
directly, and they ended up becoming good friends with them.
Yeah, and everybody can be friends. The only thing sometimes I watch these lawyer dramas though on television where you got like a plaintiff's attorney and a defense attorney and they're married and I'm like now
No, no,
that's stretching
no, that's
that
stretching it. I will say the first convention, I think it was the first convention I went to with you guys, was up in Asheville, and I guess I'd been at Lawyers Mutual for about 2 years maybe, and there was a social at the convention that was very fun at some upstairs bar that one of your members owned there in Asheville, and they had a band and there was dancing, and David Pishko and I had a dance off, and we had quite a good time. And at the same time, I was handling two claims that he was bringing against against other attorneys that we were not two, maybe one,
that's
that we were
fabulous.
bringing against. So
Oh wow.
I gained a great appreciation for him as a
Oh
person,
gosh.
not just as an opponent.
Life before cell phones must have been.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Never happened today. That's awesome. Obviously, you hear a lot of stories, a lot of firsthand accounts of folks who are out there on the front lines, and not just the legal woes, but also the boyfriend stories and what have you. What do you see as the biggest challenges that the small and solo practitioners are facing right now?
I will say that when it comes to the things that I'm talking to plaintiffs' lawyers about, it is still and will always be the biggest bugaboo that they run into is problems with statute of limitations on claims. That is the number one problem that they run into, and it can sneak up on you in so many different ways, not just wait until the last minute. And so that's going to be the case from now till the end of time, that is the number one thing that plaintiffs' lawyers have to worry about. The criminal defense side is not so much, and even the family lawyers, it's not typically so much the deadline-driven stuff. With those, it's oftentimes you have very personal relationships with your clients, oftentimes, who are going through very difficult times, if it's family law or criminal law. And that can cause people to be very, how shall we say, mean in how they deal with you, and demanding and unreasonable. And as a result, I have to talk to a ton of small firm lawyers about how to manage that client engagement without causing themselves a state bar grievance or a claim as they try to navigate. Sometimes the client's worst enemy is themselves, and they get in the way of their own attorney trying to help them. And that can be very, very frustrating and hard to navigate. And so I will say, I can't tell you how many times a year, I bet 50 to 75 times a year, I'm talking to some different attorney about how to fire a client or how to deal with a client.
So it's not AI or anything about filing electronically, or it's the
No,
same old human nature and deadlines and
no. I mean, I think the same recurring things over and over. Just difficult clients. Oftentimes we call them red flag clients for a variety of reasons. It's the difficult clients, and then it's the deadlines for the plaintiff's lawyers that are the biggest ones that come up all the time.
Wow.
I also do a lot of the appellate work and the criminal defense claims. I don't do much of the family law claims. It just always amazes me just how involved those attorneys will get in their clients' lives, and it makes me like, geez, are you sure that's wise? Don't you want a little more emotional distance? But it always amazes me that any attorney gives their client their cell phone number and texts with them. But I know that a ton of attorneys do. I am very, very reluctant to give my cell phone number out to anybody. There are a few NCAJ members that have my number. Most of them don't make me regret having given it to them.
Well, that's good to know that they're not the problem children. That's good. Yeah,
No.
yeah. Well, I mean, that's a real part of the profession is the emotional wear and tear. And that's another thing that that being part of NCAJ is can do is, like you said, like the folks at the larger firms, they have an infrastructure, they have a mentorship program, and then when you get out of school and you put up a shingle, you don't necessarily understand that that's something that you need and something that's really going to benefit you not only as a lawyer but as a human, And
I listened to a couple of y'all's previous podcasts before I came on here. I really loved listening to Phil Bedour and Helen. I clerked for Phil back in law school,
okay.
and loved the man. And then listened to Tishko and Anna. One of them that I really liked was Lex Jordan of Begboo,
Yes.
who was very, boy, is he doing great things as a young attorney, striking out on his own. And he was so proactive in reaching out to people. And I know that because he reached out to me too. Just when he was getting off the ground, just say, look, I want to talk to you. People tell me I need to talk to you. And he set up an appointment. We had a great conversation talking about what he wanted to do. And then other folks that and I know he talked to Lenny Jernigan, and I think he talked to a bunch of other folks. I mean, it's just, and y'all encourage that and really push it. And
Yeah.
I love
Yeah, Lex is an outstanding attorney, and he's a graduate of our next program, and yeah, he has forged a path in a way that could definitely be taken as an example for other young attorneys for how to do it. And that's great. I'm glad to know that you're part of his network. That's terrific.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
I enjoyed listening to Lauren too. She was fun, Lauren Newton.
Oh,
I
yeah.
had a great time listening to these all. I got a few more on my queue that I haven't listened to yet, but I have to do it.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad that you're a Voices of NCAJ podcast listener. That is terrific. One more.
Yeah, there you go. You doubled
Well,
your listenership.
That's right, one by one. Before I let you go, I like to throw one fun question in at the end. I don't know if this is fun or not, but I know you're a big Tar Heel fan, right? Tar Heel basketball fan. How are you feeling about the season this year?
Not good.
All right. Are you
No,
thinking it might be time to become a Clemson fan?
No Clemson. No, that's not going to happen. I don't want to disappoint Haley or Hallie. My enthusiasm has waned. I don't know whether it's age or the way college sports has gone recently, or just the fact that Carolina's not doing that great right now. But it's not as fun as it used to be.
Yeah,
Watch and
it's
go
been
to
a
the
tough
game.
season. I personally, I'm a Carolina grad. I have not had as much fun as I did last year watching State.
Oh, I know. Wasn't that fun? I had a good time. That's so funny you said that.
Everybody
I hate
in my
State,
family
and I was rooting
like
for them like crazy. It's
thought
because they
I'd
beat
gone
Duke
insane.
twice.
Yeah. Well, hopefully there'll be some sort of last minute miracle that'll make the end of the year worth watching for all of
Yeah,
us.
I hope so. We'll see. Worked a couple years ago.
Well, Warren, this has Been a true joy. Thank you so much for being on the pod and for listening to the pod and for being at all of our Sidebar socials and helping all of our members with your wisdom and counsel through all the years. And we are looking forward to seeing you again at more events very soon.
Thanks, Amber. I really appreciate you and appreciate everything NCAJ does. And I can't wait to see folks at these Sidebar socials. They're great. We did two recently, one in Asheville and one in up in Wilkesboro, North Wilkesboro. And, one of them had 40 plus people come out, and that was great. And then one of them had like 12 people come out, and it was better. It was great too. I mean, they were just both so fun.
Yeah.
I just loved it.
Yeah, those look like a lot of fun. And also at convention, I'm sure we'll see you at Charlotte, right?
I already got my hotel room because I got locked out last time. So.
Oh,
yeah.
Excellent. Cool. All right. Well, we will be seeing Warren and hopefully a lot of other NCAJ members at Sidebar Socials this spring and summer in Durham, Charlotte, Salisbury, Greenville, and Cary. Check our calendar at ncaj.com/events to find the details on when we will be near you. Thanks, everybody, for listening.